In a world where everyone is looking for your money up front, doesn't it just make sense to check out a podcast that's looking to give you something for free? Like the music for your content and free music for your film and videos? Look no further. It's the Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast. And I'm your host, Tim Kulig. This is episode 12. November 23 updates. Sounds very generic, but it's important because I've hit a couple milestones. We're getting towards the end of the year, and I just wanted to circle back on this 2.5, almost 3-year journey of publishing tunes and some of the things that have been going on. Specifically, I'm about to hit a 500 song milestone, which is fantastic. If I can get some of my act together here in the month of November prior to the holidays before things get crazy. But I'm only 20 songs away, so that's a really close, I'm right around the corner, so I don't think I have any excuse whatsoever. I've got easily, 5-6x of that in active projects that I could literally just finish up, get published, even do some singles and stuff and meet the mark. So I made myself that promise this year. I've got to make that happen. Absolutely have to make it happen. So I'm excited. The journey of that though, man, I tell you, there's times that I've made some, ambitious production schedule choices that haven't panned out. I think at one point this year, this spring, or more important, I think it was more like the winter because I started it in January. I did this project where I was doing, publishing 12 songs one month, 24 the next, 48 the next, and then trying to do 96 and doing that cycle 3 times this year. Well, by the time I got to the 48 one, I felt like I was scraping the barrel and all the creativity was falling out of me and I was scrambling to get things out. So I was like, oh, okay. There's a limit. I hit a wall. I hit a limitation here of how quickly I can get this stuff out. And I also need time to let some of this stuff bake in and just simmer. There's pieces that I wrote just after that little experiment that sat on my hard drive for 3 or 4 months. And I went back to them like, oh, I know how to finish that now. So it's a weird thing. It's a very strange thing to look at the creative process and try to normalize it, I guess, to some degree, and expect you to be able to consistently produce something like it's a widget. Well, with creativity, it just isn't possible. But the fact that even without that, I pushed the production up to a point where I'm going to be able to push past this 500 song milestone is just huge. And it just means I'm that much closer to hitting 1,000+ songs and having a really large, solid catalog out there for people to use, Also this year, with the help of 2 very close friends of mine that are great about going through this whole process with me, I am going to be revamping my website. And some of the changes that are going to be there are this show will be at the very least embedded on a page, so you can go to timkulig.com and literally just watch this through Podbean, but in an embedded player. Also, there'll be a blog on there like the current one, and links out to FilmMusic.io and SoundCloud. But more importantly, I'm going to have my own localized database searchable that'll allow you to go in there and type in genre or feels, like horror, scary, blah, and my MP3s that'll be available for free under Creative Commons will literally have the meta tagging in that. So it'll take a list, it'll isolate it down to a subset based on the meta tags you put in there, and you'll have an idea of exactly what you want, and you can scrub those and play them. And if you want them, you can just grab them, and the attribution language will be right there. So really just a one-stop shop where you can just click through, and it's very intuitive and very easy to navigate. So I'm very excited about that. And in addition to that, we'll have a e-commerce section so that if you can't give attribution and you want to buy an extended license, well, it'll punch it into a cart, and it'll also produce a PDF that'll be available for your records that can literally just say, hey, I paid for this. I have the extended license, so I can use this in commercials and this and that. And it'll be a small fee for that, just like it is now. And I think people are going to be very excited about that. It aligns with me in the sense that up until this point, I've been hosting things everywhere else. And sometimes the engagement on various sites waxes and wanes, and I'd like the people that use my music to have, a central repository here. If they continue to go to a different site because it hosts some other people, some other, composer friends of mine, and they like to take a couple, like they know I'm a horror guy, so they come in for my horror stuff, or maybe some of my orchestral stuff, and then somebody else is really good with intros or whatever, and they go to their I get that, and that's still going to be available, but I just wanted to host it on my own space and just continue to build the brand, and again, not have to, the more clicking people have to do, I find, or I feel at least online, people just get frustrated and don't want anything to do with it and would rather just be like, hey, I just want to get here and take the song and go. So going forward into 2024, as far as production is concerned, my ambitious goal is to try to get anywhere from another 200 to 300 tunes and intros and stuff. I think that number will be to the higher end of it because I haven't really explored that area yet. I haven't really gone into like intros, outros, beds specific for like podcasts and stuff. And I think I may have even mentioned this on a previous podcast, my podcast, that I was going to do something like that. I kept on getting pulled in other directions with my pieces that I was finishing up and finalizing. And I just did another Glitches album, and around the Halloween holiday, I had a couple of ramp up albums, and I did a jump scare video that I thought was pretty funny. Just the hallway, and then all of a sudden this scary thing just popped up. I did it in Midjourney, so I was using some of the tools I talked about in a previous episode, which was kind of nice. But this 2024, I have a production schedule that involves looking at producing things once or twice a week without the element of thinking to finalize it, just to get a volume of ideas. Because I mean, the matter remains here that if I'm going to continue on this very aggressive schedule, it requires sitting down for chunks of time that are isolated and dedicated strictly just to being creative for the sake of being creative. And I feel like it's one of the reasons I did that other experiment this year, the 12, 24, 48, 96, is that I want to keep challenging my brain to think of ways to be creative without self-editing. That's been a challenge, I think, my whole life with music. Is I'll be writing something and I'm trying to capture a feeling, and then I get caught up in the effective delivery of whatever I'm trying to play, like the timing and everything. And really, in the first pass, I'm trying not to even be bothered by that, because that's really not what it's about. It's about capturing the idea without editing anything. And I've found that overproducing a song will take everything away from it that made it sound amazing the first time around. So it's been an interesting process trying to find that line, and then I don't know, pivoting. You're continuing to pivot. It's a real thing to kind of go through emotion and then get into a habit. The habit's good. It's creative habit. But then if it becomes mundane and it becomes cyclical to the point where I don't feel like it's generating that punch and that impetus, then I've just had to pivot again. So it's just a very strange thing that balance between creativity and consistency in content creation. It's you try to push as hard as you can to meet this 1,000-foot goal you have of having this body of content. But if you're not feeling creative, like the last couple of weeks, I've done very little in the realm of writing. And if I find that like my body naturally finds that place, the one thing about this podcast is that it gives me the opportunity to be consistent about putting out some kind of content. And that's one of the main reasons I started this thing in the first place, is that I found myself having the surge at a couple points this year with TikTok and, YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and stuff. And then I waned off, and I know I follow content creators, like the big ones like Gary Vee and some lesser known ones. And really, I mean, I know what it is. It's the work. You have to consistently produce content and publish it consistently, and that builds the following and everything, and it ultimately gets my music in the hands of the people I want to get it into, which is content creators and movie producers and TV show makers and commercials and stuff, and so this podcast is all about that, and this is something I'm gonna definitely continue, because it's kind of like the underlayment of all of this. It just keeps that motivation and that consistency going. And thinking about the 2.5, 3 years or so, I mean, I've been writing music and creating music since I had a semi cursory understanding of the foundations of music when I first started playing the keyboard as 11 or 12-year-old. But it's really the publishing that I refer to when I'm saying like the last 2.5, 3 years. It's just been, man, if you told me 4 or 5 years ago I would have this much content out, this much in the form of music and everything, I'd tell you were nuts. I mean, it's just amazing where you come from, or how far you can go with just little consistent efforts every day. And it's, again, when I'm not feeling creative and I need to, get back into doing some content or update socials, there's always something to do. So it's great that I can see that at this point and be able to pivot and, pivot to learning some new tools with some of the publishing as far as the thumbnails are concerned, or the YouTube thumbnails, or the Instagram thumbnails, and using Canva, using Camtasia to capture some video or to do some video editing. It's just, man, there's anybody tells you that content creators, you look at some of these people like Mr. Beast or whatever, and it looks like an overnight sensation, but if you read anything about him or follow any of his fans or some of his own videos, I mean, he literally ate, sleep, and drank YouTube since he was 11 years old. And that's why he's so successful. He figured everything out, and whenever the algorithms pivoted, he pivoted as well. And that's just what he did. He's gone on record saying like he doesn't have any like references to pop culture or anything. He's like, I don't know those movies. I was too busy making videos on YouTube. Well, with this website revamp and talking about the production schedule next year and everything, again, this being 2.5, 3 years into this journey, overarching all of that is my absolute commitment to Creative Commons. Like, that's not going anywhere. It's done nothing but amazing things so far for me, my brand as Tim Kulig Free Music. I just going into YouTube and typing in my name and doing some filtering in there, I can see on like a weekly basis, a daily basis, monthly basis, who's using it, who's using the music with the tagging that they do from where they're getting the music from. And it's just amazing. And I've made it a point throughout this year to get out there a couple times a month and just give the creators out there some gratitude for using it. And I've had nothing but positive feedback from that. I mean, a lot of times people are just floored that the musician that put this stuff together that they're using in their content is like, I can't believe you're commenting on my video. Well, I'm like, you kidding me? I can't believe that you made this drone footage of, Scandinavian mountains or something, where you just had this gorgeous footage with one of my tunes in it. I didn't have to do anything, and I get to link it out on my site and be like, listen to my music with these awesome visuals. So, getting rid of that paywall up front by doing the Creative Commons is just been a miracle as far as getting brand recognition, notoriety, and getting people to use it. It's so important to me that people hear and use it first, and I find ways to monetize on the back end through varying channels like social media usage. So if you ever doing videos and stuff and you want to pop my stuff into it, and there's an option to select songs from TikTok or whatever, you go in there and do the drop down, you can literally pick it up and it'll register in there. So that helps me tremendously, because all those things, all those different venues, the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok, YouTube, it all flows back to my DistroKid, my self-publishing, and doesn't cost the content creators anything. It's just, there's ad revenue associated with video views, basically with content views, and when my stuff's in it and it does well, then I do well as well. So that's one of the main reasons I'm like, here, take it and give it away. If it's something that resonates with you, I want you to use it. I have had a very big uptick in listener engagement this year, and it's been really, really cool. I've had some people just reach out and tap me about what they like, just something's like resonated with them or spoken to them. And it's always so funny to me that it's usually the songs that you don't think are going to resonate, and people are just like, man, like that just did something for me. Like, I don't know if anybody that follows this are metalheads at all, but there's a band called Static X, and the lead singer, Wayne Static, passed away a few years ago. And I was doing a modern metal album, and I really wanted to do kind of like an homage to some of his stuff, because it's super simple and industrial, and it kind of reminds me of the early era of Nine Inch Nails and maybe Skinny Puppy and stuff like that. Their music was maybe a little bit more complex, but just, drilling on a power chord and just these really like just driving beats and everything. Well, I produced something, and I had a really positive response from somebody that was looking to grab some music, and they're like, man, this totally resonates with me. This sounds so much like that, but also unique to you, kind of thing. And I'm just like, you get floored when people share with you what your music does for them and how they feel. It makes them feel something. And that's why we do it, or at least that's why I do it, Well, in conclusion, there's been a lot of progress in the last 2.5, 3 years, and I am so happy that there's so many people out there that really enjoy what I'm doing so far, and I'm getting more engagement on socials. Again, I know if I was 2 to 3x more consistent throughout the week on all of them, that I would probably ramp up following and exposure even more. It's real tough when you're a one-stop shop, a one-man shop, one-person shop, whatever you want to call it. It's incredibly arduous, and it's funny how this last year I've acquired some tools that I'm, making my own album covers. I've done that since the beginning, but by utilizing Canva and some AI art generators like Midjourney, and now even ChatGPT has that built into it. It's like a DALL-E 3 or DALL-E 4 plugin for that. It's been easier on my workflow because I can speed it up, because now I just Canva is incredibly simple once you understand how to use it and twist things around in there. And that's been great. So I'm just super psyched for what is going to happen in 2024. There's so many things on the table as far as genres are concerned, as far as projects, as far as updates and everything. I'll be sure to keep everyone apprised of this going forward. And I just wanted to say thank you. Thanks everybody that's supported me so far in whatever capacity, whether you've used something, whether you've paid me a non-attribution fee, or whether you're some of the folks out there that just found my PayPal and just started throwing money at me, which is a thing. It's amazing. It's just some people are using stuff and they just appreciate it so much that they want to support. And I'm like, this is this is what it's supposed to be all about. It's fantastic. I really appreciate everything about that. Again, you can get my music at filmmusic.io. You can get it at SoundCloud. Just type in Tim Kulig Free Music. You'll be able to, first or second quarter at the latest next year, go straight to my website, timkulig.com, and search an active database on there that has some meta tagging and stuff, so you can find exactly what you're looking for your content. And there's a few other surprises I have up my sleeve for next year that are to be determined or to be disclosed. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank all of you out there that support, follow, and use my music, and stay tuned for all the things that are to come. And thanks again for listening to the Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast. We'll see you soon.